Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
My friend, hope you had a wonderful weekend, but if you didn't, we are here to help. This is New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and we'll be taking your calls for 2 hours today. Calls on trauma, eating disorders, you name it. We can help you take your next right step, but you got to make that first step by calling us at 1-800-229-3000. Sitting in the studio these 2 hours, we've got licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton is here too with a little bit of wisdom to impart unto us. Hey, Alice,
Hello.
What's up?
Well, upon leaving church yesterday, when we were really filled with the Holy Spirit, that's when negativity starts kicking up in the back seat.
Of course.
So I was praised for it because that's the norm. Well, it didn't happen yesterday, to my surprise.
Whoa.
And so I observed to my children, it looks like you're all choosing to be quiet or kind to each other. That's great. And one of my kids piped up and said, yeah, it's because I don't want to lose any screen time today. And that meant that our discipline is having an effect. So that child may not yet care about being nice for the sake of being nice, but he cares about accessing privileges in the home, like screen time. So we've been after this summer because sibling negativity, it's on the rise during summer vacation. And we've been applying 3 types of discipline. And our kids get to pick one of the 3. So either they have to sit against the wall for a number of minutes, usually about their age worth of minutes. They lose screen time, or they have to go to their room, no entertainment. They just have to sit on their bed for a period of time. And so as we have been trying to be faster in implementing this, we're seeing some results, thankfully. And the Bible describes this as there are fools and there are wise people. And most of us are pretty foolish in our lives. And when God lays out the 10 Commandments, he says, you get to pick blessings or curses. Choose my way, you're going to be blessed abundantly. Don't choose my way, well, there's going to be a curse to it. Because unfortunately, we don't usually choose what's right just because it's right. It's not attractive enough to us. We have to suffer the consequences, most of us, in order to learn. So when we ask our family for what we want, the wise ones will comply just because we asked for it. If they won't comply, that's when we have to decide how we will respond, because boundaries aren't about controlling other people. They're about controlling how I react when people treat me well or when they mistreat me. And so using some phrases like, I'll gladly share my screens, my time, money, my car, my heart, my friendliness, my body. I share that with people who are willing to be kind to me. And if you're not one of those, then I'm going to restrict those things. You don't get to enjoy those privileges if you won't be kind to me. So if you hear about boundaries and you think, I know I need to apply them, but I just can't do it, then I suggest checking for a childhood emotional injury, because perhaps you learned I have to accept whatever I get, maybe because I'm not valuable, maybe because I'm disgusting. Some of us were treated that way, and so we came to believe you take what you get. But we want to tell you you're worth more than that. You can stand up for yourself. You can ask for more, and then protect yourself if they won't treat you well.
Mark?
Well, I love it. Yeah, I mean, discipline is part of the sanctification process in Hebrews 12:6. Paul writes, God disciplines those he loves. And so, sometimes part of that, we have to discipline one another at times too. And that's where we know where our rights begin and the other person's rights end to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
And you spoke a truth there, Alice, where you said sometimes what's right isn't that attractive, but it's worse than the consequences, or the consequences are worse, I should say. So there's nothing wrong with like you said, one of your children was like not being nice for the sake of being nice, but it was because of the screen time that they were hoping not to avoid, not to lose. We'll talk about that when we come back on New Life Live.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Cincinnati, Ohio, August 22nd through the 24th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
If you like what you hear on the show, you should see our social media. We've got even more great content there. Come to newlife.com, scroll down to the footer, and you'll see all the icons. How do you want to follow us? Pick one or pick them all. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today on the program. And here we have Kay and Joe, both of you here on the phone with me, right?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Calling in from Battle Creek, Michigan, listening on the New Life app. Thank you for calling in today. 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, and we want to tell you that you're doing a great job.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. We enjoy just some of your little jokes in the beginning, and it just gives us a smile, so thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. So my question is, I am 53 years old, and my mom is 72, and I am just starting to realize that she is probably would, if she went in for therapy, she might be diagnosed as being a covert narcissist and a religious covert narcissist. And the reason is I'm now looking back at my life in different ways that she has interacted with me and never acknowledged my emotions, and I could never figure it out how she could be this, like, people, if they saw her or if they knew her but they didn't know her behind closed doors, she would be called, she is the nicest lady, and she is just a sweet Christian woman. You know, I'd hear this all the time. So behind closed doors, she would rage. She would have this just, I can't even, one time she kicked my door so hard that it put a dent in the door because I had stayed out all night when she told me not to, so I was wrong. But her anger was scary when she got to that point, you know. And so now, fast forwarding to where we are today, is she is not talking to me. And the reason is because I called out her behavior. A while back, I had over the phone told her that she hurt my feelings because she said that my husband had said 3 different things to her that were very rude, and she never brought it to my attention when it happened. So then it was like over a period of a year and a half, finally she comes to me and she goes, I have to tell you, your husband said 3 things that were very rude to me, and I will not talk to him again. And she had told me she will not come to my house again until he apologizes. And he could not remember saying these things.
Wow.
You know?
So is that who's on the phone with you here, Joe?
Yeah.
Yes.
I am some so-called rude husband.
Yeah.
Well, you don't sound rude, but you know.
And it's so funny because this is my second marriage. My first one was abusive, and he is just a wonderful man. And we've been married almost 9 years, and I have seen his sanctification. I've seen him grow, you know, just it's been wonderful. So when she said this to me, I was in shock because I see how he treats other people. And he does have humor that he uses, and sometimes he says, like, the most unexpected thing. And so I think sometimes maybe my mom took something that he said, and she took it like, you know, instead of just as, oh, that was just a joke to be funny, she took it seriously and held on to it, and then all of a sudden she had all this stuff to lay on me.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
So
That gives us a little bit to work with.
So-
What do you guys?
So now she is ignoring me. So I just wanted to let you know, at this point, what she does is she tries to punish, I think, and
Yeah.
she says, we just need time apart. But it's been over a month, and she doesn't come back and apologize for anything.
Okay. Mark, what would you say?
So you're wondering, how do you approach your mom? Is that what it is?
Well,
Okay.
Yes. Because I know as a believer, there's a verse in Matthew that says how you're supposed to go to the person, then you bring someone else, and then, like bring it to the church. But at this point, we're not even sure if she is truly saved just because of some behavior, some gossiping that she does. She slanders people, things that don't line up with the fruit. So we don't know whether to try that or if we need to treat her as an unbeliever and say, okay, I'm going to have boundaries, and I just am going to have a relationship or not have one, and just, try to honor her by praying for her.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, of course, our fruit shows, what's being cultivated in our lives. Unfortunately, the problem of sin still affects us even when we're Christians too, and because we do need to continue going through the process of sanctification, and part of that process is learning to emotionally mature. It sounds like your mom is quite emotionally immature in many ways.
Yeah.
Some of the ways that you're talking about is like a child would react. They would sulk, they would pout, they would get upset, they would push you away. And so, I mean, I'm more inclined to have you approach it in more of a relational way than a spiritual discipline way. And so what I would say is something along the lines of, I would reach out to your mom, whether you can call her or write her a letter or whatever it is. Say, Mom, I love you and I care about you. So I would start with affirming the relationship, and I'd love to sit down and have a talk through some of the barriers in the relationship between us. Are you willing to do that? And if she ignores you or she's not willing to do that, then you say, let me know when you are.
Okay.
And then you wait. And then you wait, and then you see. I think probably with this behavior, it sounds like she's doing a little bit of a push-pull where she's upset at you and she pushes you away, but she's really hoping that you'll come after her and you'll pursue her like a child does. So you don't have to fall into that, but you've already put the invitation out there. Eventually, when she does, when you see her at a family event or something like that, and she is willing to speak with you, I would set some ground rules. I'd love to hear you out, Mom, and I will go first, taking a listener role. But then I'd like you to listen and hear me out too. Would that be okay? And I would just set this standard that, there's a way that mature adults behave and they hear one another out when they have disagreements. And so you invite her into security. You don't have to be the one who's, you get to listen to her and she gets to, blame and criticize you, and then she's going to sulk, and the only resolve is if you apologize to her and she doesn't own anything. So that's how I generally guide people to approach relationship, is to invite the other person up into maturity.
Alice.
Okay. Yeah.
Kay, what's the ugliest thing that happened to your mom during her childhood?
Oh, she had an alcoholic dad, and my grandma we think she had some mental illness where my mom felt like she took care of my grandma. So she's had a lot of trauma.
Now, I ask that not to justify the way your mom treats you, but to help us tap into some compassion. She may be a narcissist, but I find that a more helpful way of looking at hurtful people is to think about how hurt she is and how ignorant she is. So if my young child slaps me, or if someone who's sick and feeling awful snips at me, I take it differently than a person who's of sound mind and body mistreating me. Your mom is spiritually and emotionally very wounded. Now, it doesn't mean you don't protect yourself from her, because I think you do need to protect yourself from that rage that she has shown you. But to keep in mind, my mom is a spiritually sick and injured person. So I would then use that to try to address the 3 rude things, supposedly, that were said. And now, very likely, if we played the tape back, they probably weren't rude. But for some reason, she took them that way. So I know you were talking about Matthew and whether or not to take space from her, the book of Matthew from the Bible. But I think there's one other step to take before affirming the space, before clarifying the space you need. So this is from Matthew 5:23, where if we find out a brother has something against us, we should go address that before we take our gift to the altar. So you know she has something against you, Joe. It's probably not fair, and it's probably not even accurate. But if you would humbly go to her to say, gosh, I've even tried to think of what I said to you. Can't remember any rude thing. Would you tell me? What did I say that bothered you? And Joe, if you're willing to just be a listener, knowing what she says probably isn't accurate, and it's probably not really you. It's probably something from her history that she's overly sensitive. But if you'll offer her that bit of humility and healing, you're modeling what she doesn't know how to do, because her parents didn't know how to teach that. And so it's possible, it's a long shot, but it's possible that if you model it, you might be more likely to receive it from her. And Kay, I bet you've modeled it over and over again in your life. But because you know she's got these 3 rude things she's holding on to, I'd ask you and Joe to explore that with her.
And I think what I would add to that, Kay and Joe, is if Joe, if you did say something and it was in a joking way, but she took offense to it, sometimes we got to own that and say, that wasn't my intent, but I can see how it hurt you. But if there's something that she says that you said and you didn't say, I would say something like this, like, I can understand why you'd be upset if that's what you heard and that's how you heard it. And then I would validate that. I would be too, if that's what was said. I don't remember saying that, but I feel bad that you feel bad. So is there something that I can do to help repair their relationship?
No, that's excellent, and you're right on. And I'll have to admit that I did think for a while, came up with something that would have been misunderstood, took it to her in a phone call, and had the conversation out. Was so sorry and admitted. I said, I've come a long way. My humor's changed. I'm being sanctified. Don't say these things anymore. And it went really well. So she ended up hearing this, forgiving us. In fact, she felt so bad. She goes, please stop. Because I was apologizing. But I told her how much I care about her and her husband, my in-laws. And I started with that. So out of love, this is what I was doing. And it went well, just like you're saying. And now I think the thing is, and it was modeled well, and now we're just hoping that, she can take some type of accountability. We know she is deeply broken and really struggling with all kinds of trauma from her past.
And the thing is, so she wouldn't talk to Joe until he apologized. But then now, so she forgave him. She said, okay, I forgive him and all this. But then, to fast forward, then months later, when she said some hurtful things to me, and I told her, this hurt me, Mom, when you said this. And she either brings up something from the past that she says that I said to her, so that she doesn't even have to. So it's like she wouldn't talk to him until he, apologized. But now she won't do that same thing, even though that was modeled for her in what my husband did.
Well, yeah, and that's shame. That's the power of shame. It's hard for her to admit and accept flaws. And I mean, the fact that you're saying that she felt bad after you apologize, I would take a guess that she's probably not a narcissist, because narcissists typically won't take responsibility and feel bad like that. I think she probably has complex trauma, like you were talking about, how, the things that she went through. And sometimes people who have complex trauma, they can have just very extreme reactions that can appear on the outside like, well, what's going on with this person? This seems very irrational. Like, this is way bigger than, anyone else would react. And oftentimes it takes more than one experience. So just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I mean, kudos to you, Joe, for modeling that. And you saw that it had a positive effect. And, it's sometimes it is surprising when we out-mature our parents. And we realize that. I mean, honestly, it is. And you're recognizing that.
It's a good way to put it.
Well, and I think Steve said once, the way you can honor your parents sometimes is to be the best version
That's
of you
right.
that you can be.
Yeah.
Right? I think I remember him saying that.
Anything to add, Alice?
Well, when a person brings in unrelated history, when you're trying to address a hurt you have, like, yeah, but you, I think it's important to say, I will hear that another time, Mom. But what I'm willing to talk about today is this issue at hand. So I'm even going to make a note because, okay, I hurt you at a different time. I'll readdress that later, but I'm not willing to talk about that right now. I will stick with the topic at hand, being firm but kind to keep those guardrails up.
Yeah, and that's why I suggested, modeling that I'll be the listener first and then I expect you to be the listener afterwards. And there's a fantastic tool called the Comfort Circle in Mylan and Kay's book, How We Love Mylan and Kay Yerkovich, that they talk about and they describe this. And I think that would be a great tool for you guys to learn and do with your mom.
Yep, that book is available in the newlife.com store, but Kay and Joe, we're going to send you a copy just for calling in today on New Life Live. So stay on hold and we'll get your address and then we'll mail you a copy of How We Love. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today here on New Life Live. So call in and we can help you as well with whatever it is you're going through.
What a New Life course is it's around a topic led by a professional licensed counselor coach with a small group of 8 or 9 people on a weekly Zoom call. You're going to go through the information, but also connect as a group. Those group processes make all the difference in the world. And so we have created New Life courses so that you can experience that on a weekly basis. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful. And it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us. So you can sign up right away with 8 or 9 slots open. They're going to go quick. And so you want to call today and get registered.
Begin your transformation in September with a New Life course. Lose it for life, take your life back, or healing is a choice. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
If you've had a crummy 2025, we are so sorry to hear that. But the good news is, in about 140 days, it'll be over. Rose Bowl, Rose Parade, Auld Lang Syne and all that stuff waiting for you in 2026. But you don't have to wait until January to impact the trajectory of 2026. Let's start to fix right now. If anxiety is what's holding you back, sign up for Dr. Alice Benton's faith-based anxiety webinar, August 28th. It's less than $20. That is amazing to me. It's a 90-minute webinar. 30 minutes of it will be Q&A. You can get the details at newlife.com. Next month, first week of September, we'll be launching 3 12-week, 1-day-a-week New Life online courses. Then there's the Choosing Wisdom Online Life Recovery Conference on October 4th. That's on top of our regular offering of weekend intensives throughout the country. Imagine getting a jump start on your goals before everyone else. Be ahead of the game. You will not regret it. There's something for everyone, and with online options at lower price points, you're already coming out on top. Register at newlife.com, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and one of our friendly and fabulous team members here will discuss what the best step forward for you would be. 1-800-229-3000 is our number, and we're going to go to Nancy in Pocatello, Idaho. Hi there, Nancy. Thank you for calling in today.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, what's going on? How can we help you?
Well, I'm going to try and get through this without crying. I have some problems with trust issues. I always have. I was married for 12 years, and my husband committed suicide a few months ago, which intensifies that. And so I'm isolating myself from people. I do see a counselor, and it is helping, but it's such a slow process. And I am a believer. I know that I've seen God in every step of the way since my husband committed suicide. But it's just these trust issues have intensified because the person who should have been taking care of me left me. And so, there's those questions about, regret. What could I have said? What should I have done? Because I was completely blindsided by it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
Nancy, were the 12 years of marriage with him, were they often an emotional struggle?
Yes, he was a heavy drinker, and then he became sober, and that's when, he always had narcissistic tendencies when he was drinking, but when he became sober, they became worse and intensified quite a bit. He was never physically abusive, but very emotionally abusive. But he was also the man who took care of everything. I mean, I didn't work. I didn't have money problems. I came and go as I went. He wasn't restrictive or anything like that. But he did always check in about where you're going, what time you're going to be home. Very controlling in that way. And then one morning he went to work, and the police came to the door and let me know that that morning, right after he left for work, he had committed suicide.
Oh, it's a form of death that is just so destructive to those left behind. And I hear your questioning and regret. What could I have said? What could I have done differently? Nancy, I imagine that some of how you described your husband might also have applied to your parents. Did they also give you reasons not to trust people?
I'm going to say yes. I was kind of the child. I was never abused in physically. Emotionally, I was kind of invisible to my parents.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 4 siblings. I'm the middle child, and I don't think, at least for me, it wasn't a middle child syndrome. I'm not quite sure what it was exactly, but again, I grew up in a home, we were very well taken care of, never went without anything, except, with me. And people say, well, it's just because you're saying it was you, but my siblings will tell anybody it was me too. That got kind of the short end of the stick.
Well, to grow up feeling invisible. So physically you were cared for, but your parents didn't know how to see your heart and what you were going through, the ups and downs of it. So you probably know, Nancy, that the really difficult answer is when people have hurt you, the best route to healing is getting back in with trustworthy people to relearn how to both identify who should I put my trust in, and also to open your heart up again. And you're doing that with a counselor, which is great. But how does my response affect you? What do you feel hearing that?
I agree with what you are saying. However, I've never really been the person to share my feelings. Even with my best friend, I don't share my feelings. And then I have my women's Bible study at church, and I just try and put on this happy face, letting them believe that I'm okay.
Well, it makes sense that you would do that because your closest people taught you, don't open up. Don't tell us what you're feeling. Either we don't care, or we might respond angrily to what you're feeling. So
That's correct.
Yes. So now that you have a best friend and a Bible study, part of the healing process will be choosing to reveal little bits at a time to them and figure out with your counselor how you're doing with it, what comes up, and how well they respond to you. It's a little bit at a time. That's the route.
We'll talk about it when we come back here on New Life Live.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And we're talking to Nancy, who called in from Pocatello, Idaho. You still with us, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Great. Mark, what did you want to add?
Hey, Nancy, I was wondering, are you an introvert?
Yes.
Okay. Well, and so I wonder if that exacerbated some of these things happening in your childhood too, especially if you had, did you say that your siblings say it's just you, they felt like they were taken care of by your parents?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are they extroverted?
Not really.
Okay. All right.
More than I am, but I wouldn't say they're extroverts.
Okay. I was just curious. So you were the most introverted person, and because sometimes, in a family, a child who is introverted, they take a little bit longer to kind of warm up to situations to feel safe, or they have they can feel like they have the quietest voice because everybody else speaks up around them. But I mean, ultimately, you're going through grief right now. And, our history affects us. And so your history exacerbates that whole thing. And when you're questioning, I wonder if there was something I could have said, I want you to know that's absolutely normal. That's part of the bargaining phase of grief, when we start to think of, like, I could have said something, I could have done something different, and that would have changed the outcome. And so it's completely normal. So I want to normalize that for you. And also just to let you know, too, grief is a process. It does take time to get through that, but your history, as Alice was going into, some of these perceived abandonments that you have, where you didn't get taken care of as a child, as we experience these strong emotions, because grief is such a strong experience for us, all of these things come flooding in. And so recognize that grief is a process, and you have to work through getting that, but also deal with the childhood wounds at the same time, and you can come out even stronger as you learn to do that.
What do you think, Nancy?
I agree with that. I think it was Alice that also said to an earlier caller about choosing blessings and choosing curses. And he chose one or the other, and I don't know in his mind which was the better option, but it left me as collateral damage.
Yes.
And that's hard to accept, which also intensifies the lack of trust, even with my closest friends.
Yeah.
Because he was the closest one to me.
And it is an abandonment. And that's the thing that's hard about that is, grieving the loss and feeling bad for what the other person was going through, that led them to believe that there was no other options but to, this was the solution for them. And then also feeling bad for yourself and saying, but I was also abandoned in this too. And it's difficult to hold these two opposing things together at times.
I find that suicides are rarely malicious to the people left behind. It can be, but in the majority of cases, people I've worked with struggling with suicide, they come to believe I'm a burden and I'm going to unburden my loved ones by taking myself out of the equation. And that can sometimes help a little bit with the awful grief work you have to go through, Nancy.
So we have the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief in the New Life online store, and there's also Trust by Henry Cloud. I think both of those resources would be beneficial. We'll send her one of those, and then the other one you can pick up on the newlife.com store. So Nancy, thank you for calling us today here on New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 is our number, and when you give to New Life, you're supporting life-changing programs that combine God's Word with practical professional help to bring about healing in the hearts and minds of people everywhere. You can give online at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM, as in New Life Ministries, to 28950. Here is Joy in Corpus Christi, Texas, listening on Sirius XM channel 131. Hey Joy, how can we help you today?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
You live up to your name.
We're well, Joy. Glad to be talking to you.
Good, yes. And so Alice started the show with talking about boundaries, and it really hit home to my question. So, real quick, my bottom line question is: do I send a letter to my sister that's 14 years older than me that we have pretty much been estranged for, I would say, 20 plus years? Backstory: we just lost our dad July 18th. God rest his soul. He is in heaven. We are just so happy for him to made his way to his promised land, and we had the funeral July 18th, or the 21st, and she did come down. It was very, very, very awkward in the sense that, I'm the baby. I'm 50. My sister's 14 years older than me. My dad's a Baptist preacher. She's been in the lifestyle probably since college. So the lines were really drawn. Mom and Dad, I felt like, considering they were Southern Baptist preacher, really made effort to stay in touch with her. But through secular counseling, she felt it was necessarily, apparently, we were the toxic ones. So, she made it very clear when we would, my middle sister would text the group and let them know if Dad was ill or sick in the last 10 years. Her first question was, well, are they financially taking care of us? Is he taking care of the hospital? There was no real concern about, well, how is he? So I made it really, I put my boundaries up to the fact that I wouldn't reach out to her. I wouldn't share with her. To me, it was none of her business. If you're not going to take time to call and check on your mom and dad, why am I going to take that one more step to text you? But at the funeral, I really prayed myself through. Lord help me. I was like, it was just a lot of animosity there. When we went to the graveside, I just felt the prompting of the Holy Spirit, and I turned around and, I sat with my dad, which was quite the honor to watch him and sit with him and just pray over him and minister to him. And and, listen to hymns with him and my mom, like, what a big turnaround, like the Esther moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And out of 14 days, out of 86 years of his life, she was his biggest deathbed regret. And he said, I wish I would have loved her more like Jesus.
Mm.
And so I didn't expect any response from her. I know at this point she's, we're the bigots, we're the just kind of the toxic side. And so I just looked at her and I was like, I just wanted to let you know that I spent 14 days with our dad, and out of all of his whole life, you were his biggest regret, and he wished he would have loved you more like Jesus.
Mm.
And I said,
How did she respond to that?
Kind of a blank stare.
Mm.
I'm hoping that the seed was planted, but I said, but I'm really mad at Dad because he didn't deal with this toxic, bitter root in our family. So therefore, it's trying to follow me, and I'm breaking barriers and I'm breaking generational curses for me and my kids and my grandkids, and I refuse to pick up.
So it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since you've seen her. Are you asking if you should try to reach out again, or are you waiting for her to make the next step?
No, I know she won't, but I woke up one morning and was like, I don't know if I should write a letter, just kind of to reach out, or maybe that's the end of it.
Yeah. Mark, what would you say?
Well, Joy, I'm sorry for the loss of your dad, first of all. This happened just so recently. You're both going through grief, I want you to know, and I just talked about that to the other caller, that it's a process that you can't really skip and you've got to go through, and it's uncomfortable and it's difficult. Now, what I want to say too, I just want you to consider from your sister's perspective for a moment. I know there's a lot of hurt in the family and that it seems like she didn't care, but she probably started that grief process when she found out your dad was sick. And so her reaching out, wanting to find out certain things about it, was a way of her trying to find out it but to protect herself in the same way. But she probably started to go through the grief at that point too. So you're both in grief here. I probably wouldn't keep pushing down the road of, hey, your dad's biggest regret. I would probably start with just trying to reach out to say, hey, how can we establish our relationship with one another? And I probably would just say that I'd love to have a relationship with you, even if that's just being cordial and being able to wish one another a happy birthday. Mm-hmm. What is it that we can do to start to build that relationship up? And then as you deepen that from there, then you can get into maybe sharing some of these other things in there. But recognize you're going through grief, and anger is part of that grief.
I think we'll send you a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief, and thank you for calling in today, Joy. We're going to be in the studio for another hour after this hour is complete, and we would love to hear from you. We know that you're all going through something, and maybe you don't have anybody to talk to. Well, we're here for you. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. If you're watching online on Facebook or YouTube, call in. We'd love to help.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Another reminder that we're going to be in the studio for another hour today, so give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. And now we're going to talk to Rhonda in Pennsylvania, listening on WBYN. Hello, Rhonda. Thanks for calling in today.
Hello. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
I'm not even sure where to start.
Okay. Well, what's your headline? What's your main question for us? And we can work backwards from that.
Well, I guess I believe I've been assaulted by my husband this past week, and I'm not really sure how to make the next step of something because I'm so concerned with how he's feeling. He asked me to leave my house afterwards. And so out of fear, because I usually tend to run to fear first as like my primary, okay, I'm going to run and hide. And I just kind of agreed, and I've just been kind of like living in like other people's living rooms for the last few nights.
Wow. How long have you two been married?
It's been nearly 23 years.
Okay.
And there's been escalation throughout the years. It hasn't all been bad. Here I am I'm about to like defend everything. Like it hasn't all been bad. We've had a lot of good memories. We've had a lot of good things. We have 2 amazing children. But I, since Thursday, have been so consumed with what's going on in his mind. There's so much more backstory to this. And this is also coming off of 2024 being one of the hardest years I've ever had in my entire life. And I know
Rhonda, help us understand. You said, I think he assaulted me. Was there physical aggression towards you, and then he asked you to leave the house?
Yes.
And he initiated the aggression?
Yes.
Was he trying to escape, or was he trying to hurt you?
I think he was trying to just become the man that he thought that I viewed him as. I mean, that's basically what he said about 2 minutes before it happened. He's like, I'm just...
Yeah, can you explain what it was that happened? Did he push past you to get out the door, or did he pin you up against the wall? What was it?
Well, before I really hope he's not listening. Before it happened, he was in our loft, and we were arguing about the same old cycle of stuff we argue about, because we just go through the same cycles over and over again. And he said, leave the house. And so I went back. I was actually prepping for a procedure. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go pack my bags. He told me to leave. And as I went back into the room where I had like my clean laundry, because that was just the quickest way to get my clothing, he pushed through the door, and then he started screaming at me, saying that I'm just going to be the abuser you already paint me to be. You're a spoiled princess. You are just like your sister. You just push everybody away who tries to love you. And I mean, this is all done very loudly, of course.
Rhonda,
he pushed me down onto the bed that was in the room, and he just kind of pinned me down with I believe the one hand was like right up by like my jawbone, and I don't remember where the other. It just happened so fast. It feels like a bad dream, and I spent the whole night crying. And now I just kind of feel like I'm in this denial stage. Like, did this really happen? And like, I'm currently back in my house because he's at work. So I came back here today to grab some things before I head back out again. But this is the first time it ever led to something like this.
Rhonda, is he using alcohol or drugs?
No, not at all. He tried alcohol once back when we had a separation in 2013. He did. That was a day where he actually said that he wanted to commit suicide because at that point I was involved in an emotional affair due to our previous hard years, and I admitted that to him. I came clean to him about it, and like a couple days later, he left the house like super early in the morning, and then he said that he was going to end his life because he just wanted to give me the life that he thought I wanted. And I didn't know if he went through with it for about 12 hours. And then that's when I found out he turned to alcohol for the day. And that was
Rhonda,
the only time he's ever...
what I want to say is that is assault. What you're describing, it is assault, even if it happened only one time. Now, you said that he said that you keep painting me out to be an abuser. What other abuse does he do?
And early on, it was just threats. Threats of, like, I'm going to divorce you if you don't do these things, or if you don't... it was just, like, threats, and they weren't even over big things. They were just little things, like cleaning the house a certain way, and just, like, kind of, like, telling me how I need to change things. It started small and escalated over time. And I got to a point where I'm like, I think he's just trying to control me. And I didn't really, like, kind of put it together till, like, 10 years into our marriage because we had kids, we had a house, and, you know. So
Rhonda, what you're describing is escalating abuse, and abuse that's morphing into more dangerous forms. But you're also humbly, and I think you're right to be scared. You're humbly admitting you've also done something very hurtful in the marriage, which led to him taking a drastic move. He almost attempted to take his life. What do you want from us now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've talked to probably like a half a dozen people in the last few days, and I just feel overwhelmed with the fear of the unknown. And I feel like today I've been kind of warping back, like, okay, well, what if I just, like, I tried texting my husband twice in the last couple of days. He hasn't responded to either one of them. And I kind of gave him 3 options that were presented to me by somebody else. And I'm like, well, we can just stay this way forever, which sounds painful for both of us, or we get into really heavy counseling, which also seems very painful and hard, or we just end it because I don't think I can keep doing this.
Yeah. Wow, Rhonda.
I've seen other things transpire between 2023 and now. That it was like this cycle that I've seen, like, we'd be good for like 3-4 months, and then something would escalate.
Rhonda, we're just running low on time here, and I just want to give you just a little bit of advice here. I think it's not sustainable to stay in this cycle here. And it's fear of the unknown that often keeps people in these cycles, but it's getting to a place where he's out of control, and it's becoming dangerous for you to stay in that situation. I think it's a good idea that you guys are separated. I would start with your own work here. I would stop calling him and texting him. I would start with your own work. Let him, give him some space to come back and reach out to you, but you get into therapy. You get in and okay,
I've
good.
already have a number to call, which I plan to do this afternoon, and like I've made a couple phone calls to find somebody, and so I have that set up in place, and I'm just trying to find various places to stay throughout the week.
Yeah, and listen to your friends. If they express concern for you, take that seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry to advise you to talk to an attorney. I think you have to start to prepare, because if he takes further abusive action against you and starts to cut off funds, I think you need at least a consultation with an attorney to find out what your rights are and what a legal separation might look like in your state, and if you have that option. Now, I don't want you to do that prematurely. Take the steps then, but you need the information of what your rights are, because he's becoming a more dangerous man.
Would Take Your Life Back be a good resource for Rhonda?
Yeah.
Okay. So Rhonda, thank you for calling in today. We know it was painful, but we're here to help you. We're going to send you this book. We've also got an online course beginning in just a few weeks that you can find out about at newlife.com. We're going to be in the studio for another hour. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.